Welcome to PlanHub's Masterclass course for Takeoff and Estimation. My name is Greg. In this video, you'll learn how to use the Takeoff and Estimation tools to complete an estimate for a suspended ceiling. Knowing how to set yourself up for successful takeoffs and estimates will save you time and money so you can bid more projects and grow your company. For a full takeoff and estimate, your first step is to obtain any pertinent details. For this training, I found a project, reviewed the plans, and sent them into the Takeoff tool using the file viewer. Please watch the Takeoff Getting Started videos if you'd like to learn more about this process. After I set the scale on the page, I'm ready to begin taking my measurements. First, we're going to obtain the surface area. I launch the 2-point area tool because this is a rectangular shape. Colors that are a little easier to see, then click Set. Now I'm going to align my cursor with my beginning point, click to begin, allow that measurement to follow me across, and click to finish. Now we've obtained 189.86 square feet. Grid ceilings do come in 2-foot increments. We're going to be rounding this up to 190 square feet. If, however, you prefer to measure your length and width and itemize your materials that way, you can launch the linear tool. Here I'm going to call this one length. And I'm going to measure the widest part of the room. Click to start, double click to finish. Next, I want to obtain a width measurement. So I click linear again on the toolbar, select line. This time I'm going to rename it width. Click on the starting point, extend the measurement all the way across to the end point, double click there to terminate. Now we have our length and width measurements, so if you prefer to itemize according to your width and length, you have that available. To get these measurement quantities out of the system, you can go up to the navigation links and choose Project Measurements. Here, you have a table of every measurement we've made within the drawing. You can export using the Export button in the upper right-hand corner, and then open from your downloads list in your browser. Here you have a direct output of every measurement we obtained during our project. Next, you can begin sending these quantities straight from the Takeoff tool into the estimate, or if you would prefer, you can build assemblies out ahead of time to receive these quantities and bill out for all the individual items. So if you're going to give a bulk charge based on square footage, or if you like to bill by the square foot, then let's move up to our area measurement, right click, and choose to add to estimate. Let's put it in page Project Estimate 1, then click Add. Now we'll migrate over to the Project Estimates tab, and here are 2 line items that were created from that single measurement. Anytime you perform an area measurement, you automatically get the perimeter in linear feet. So if you're charging by the square foot, you may not need that perimeter measurement. In that case, you can always select the checkbox, open up your Actions menu, and choose to exclude from totals. That will leave the line item here on your page, but the money has a strike through just to give you a visual reference that there won't be any dollars added from this particular line item. Now if you want to price your install according to the square foot, then we're going to click the pencil and edit the top line item that has the square foot quantities for the measurement. We're going to slide across and put in a unit cost. Again, this is per the square feet. So we're going to put in $4.50. Then we'll select the Save icon on the far right end. Now we have our materials estimated based on $4.50 per square foot. And you could also create a labor charge using the same quantity. You could either send this quantity in again, or you can duplicate it using the Duplicate button on the far right side. I haven't changed the name yet on the original entry, so we can click the pencil there and change that name. Here I'm going to call this Materials by the Square Foot. Then I save. I haven't yet edited the name for the second entry, so I click the pencil on that one, highlight what I would like to replace, and then type in my new name. Here, Labor by the Square Foot. I'm going to slide across and change our item type to labor. And I'm going to change our cost over to add an additional $3 per square foot just to accommodate for the labor charges. Then I click Save. Now we have our materials and our labor accommodated for. So if you would like to do bulk charges by the square foot, you can consider your estimate complete at this point. However, if you'd like to itemize, then we'll go a step further and create an assembly to account for all the individual components of a grid and the tiles, and price them out accordingly. First, I'm going to create a new page of the estimate so we have a fresh palette to work with. I click the plus button, and Project Estimate 2 is created. Now I'm going to migrate over to our assemblies area so I can create an assembly. I'm going to begin by clicking the Create Assembly button. As soon as the cost item list on the left side of the page loads, I can begin searching for the ones that I need to fill out my assembly. We're going to start with Main T. I have a list of Main T options to choose from. I'm going to select the last one on the list, Main T. Check the checkbox and select Add in the center of the page. That will add that one cost item to our assembly. Next, I'm going to click the pencil to edit. Our Main T's come in 12-foot sections. So we're going to change our unit of measure to be each. Every each in this case represents a 12-foot section. I'm going to select materials as the item type, and we're going to give it a cost of $20 per. I'll save the progress so far by clicking the disk. Remember, when you build an assembly app, you do have to put a formula on the backside of every cost item so the computer knows exactly what calculations to perform. So let's click the Formula button, and I'm going to create a formula that will account for Main T's. We're going to divide the square foot area by 48 in order to calculate the individual number of Main T's that we need. I'm going to call this Main T's. And in our formula, I'm going to select the variable that represents the square foot measurement or the area result by clicking Area. And then I'm going to divide that by 48. I want to round up my result because I do not want it returning a partial Main T. I'm going to save this change and apply it to this cost item. Let's continue on adding additional items. Next, we need to add 4-foot cross T's. And select the checkbox on the item I would like to add. Then click the Add button. Now that it's in my list, I can edit it. I'm going to add the dimension into the name so I know exactly what cross T I'm charging for here. This particular entry is for 4-foot cross T's. Now I'm going to pan over and address the other details. Unit cost on the 4-foot cross T's is $6. It is a material. I'm going to charge by the each. So I save my progress and then address the formula by clicking the F of X button. So to begin building this formula, I'm going to give it a name. This one I'm going to call cross T. It's going to be the exact same formula for both my 2-foot and my 4-foot cross T's. So I do not need to designate the length on the cross T in this case. The formula is going to use the calculation. We're going to take the area, divide by 48. That gives us our number of Main T's. Now we need 6 cross T's for every Main T, so I'm going to multiply this quantity by 6. I will round up the result by checking the checkbox, so we do not get a partial result returned to us. Then I click Save, and apply that to the cost item. Let's repeat this process for the 2-foot cross T's. I'm going to select cross T again, add it, edit the name to add the size, in both the name and description fields. These are also materials, and they are $4 each. I save my progress, and for the formula this time, I click the F of X button, but we've already created a cross T formula. The number of 2-foot cross T's matches that of the 4-foot cross T's, and then we need 6 for every 12-foot length cross T. So I'm going to utilize the exact same formula we've already created by using the plus button, just simply to add it over to the field, and I can apply it to the cost item. Next, we need to accommodate for our wall molding. If we don't find what we're looking for, we can always create a blank cost item here by using the Add Cost Item button. I'm going to give it a name and description. The unit cost in this case is going to be $7, and that's $7 per 12-foot length. So this is item type materials, and the unit of measure is going to be each, because we're charging by the each 12-foot length. I save my progress. Next, I'm going to address the formula by clicking the F of X button once again. This time, I need to take the linear feet of the room and divide it by 12, because every piece of wall molding comes in a 12-foot length. So here, I'm going to give this formula the name length divided by 12. In our formula box, I'm going to add the length variable, click the divide sign, and then type in 12. I'm going to click the roundup result again, so we don't receive any partial results. I'm going to save this formula and apply it to the cost item. Next, we're going to charge for our support wire by the foot. So here, I could type in 12 gauge wire. There we are, galvanized 12 gauge wire. I'm going to click the checkbox and then add it over. Here, once again, I'm going to click the pencil. We're going to decide how we're going to charge for this particular item. In this case, it's going to be by the linear foot. We're going to charge 25 cents per linear foot, and this is a material as well. Next, I'm going to save the progress. Next, we're going to create the formula we need to help count the number of linear feet of galvanized wire that we need to accommodate for. The formula we're going to use is going to take into account the number of main tees we have and divide that by 4-foot lengths so that we can have a wire support every 4 feet on each main tee. So in order to accomplish that, we're going to build out the following formula. We're going to take the area and divide by 48. Next, we're going to multiply times 12, then divide by 4. We're going to put an open variable in this place. We're going to call it the height. This represents the actual length of the wire that we need to purchase. In this particular job, when we use this, we're going to be using the 1'6" from the specs. We're going to round that up to 2 feet, and then we're going to add a foot on top and bottom. So we're going to charge for 4 feet long wires. So whenever I use this for this particular job, I will be putting 4 into my height field whenever I use this. I leave it open so that any job we do in the future, we can use this exact same assembly, but we can customize the length of wire that we need. Next, we have to give this formula a name. So this is going to be called support wire. Then we can save it and apply it to the cost item. The last item we need to add is going to be the actual count of ceiling tiles. Here I'm going to add a new cost item and type this in blank. This job calls for 2-foot ceiling tiles, so I add the 2 foot in the description. We're going to be charging by the box at $60 per box. This is a material. Our unit of measure will be boxes, so I open the menu and type B in. Scroll down until I see boxes. Next, we save our progress, and we do have to apply a formula to this one as well. For the ceiling tiles, the formula we create is going to accommodate for the number of ceiling tiles based on the square footage of the ceiling, as well as subtracting out any objects in the ceiling, such as diffusers or lights, that will take the place of tiles. This formula, 2x2 ceiling tiles minus 2x2 objects, is the one I'm going to select and put over into our formula field. That takes account the area divided by 4 feet, because that's the number of feet every tile covers. And then we have to subtract out the count of objects, then divide the entire thing by 40 to achieve the number of boxes we need to purchase. We're going to round up so it does not return a partial box. and then we're going to apply this formula to the cost item. Next, I'm going to give this assembly a good name that I can easily recognize in the list in Takeoff whenever I use it. It's going to be based on the area measurement, and then I save my changes. Whenever you click the Save in the bottom right of the creation window, that makes it available in Takeoff to utilize with the measurement. I've already measured my area for the region of interest, so I'm going to go to that measurement, right click, and choose Send to Assembly. I have a list of assemblies built out. The newest always go to the bottom, so I'm going to choose the last 2x2 ceiling grid option. Next, I'm going to choose what page of the estimate to place it into, and then click Add. Earlier I mentioned I'm going to be rounding up to the next nearest whole even number, so here I'm going to change every 189.86 measurement to 190. Our wall molding, I'm going to round up to the even number as well, so I'm going to overwrite that to 60. Our height on the 12 gauge wire is the actual length of the wire required. So our total wire needed for each length is going to be 4 feet. Now the count of objects, there are 5 lights, but they are 2x4 lights. And here we're accommodating for 2x2 objects. So I'm going to multiply the number of objects by 2 in this case. There's 5 lights times 2, so there are 10 2x2 objects that we need to account for. Then I click Insert Values. Next, we're going to click over to Project Estimates. The assembly item here is the last one on the list, so I click the expansion arrow to open it up so we can inspect the results. So our grand total for everything that we've created the assembly for that itemizes all of the materials is $426.88. If you have a labor charge that you want to charge that's not already included with the materials, again, you can add a blank line item and create your labor charge that way, or you can add it to the assembly so that when you use the assembly it's automatically charging for your time. I would suggest if you're going to add your labor cost into the assembly so it automatically charges, at least leave the unit cost blank, because every job is very different and you may want to change your labor rate according to the difficulty on the job site. If you want the assembly to accommodate for your labor, let's go over and edit the assembly we've already created. Now that we're in the edit mode, I'm going to add a new cost item to accommodate for labor at $3 per square foot. I'm going to add the new cost item with a button, create a labor charge. I'm going to address any available fields, apply $3 per square foot, call this an item type of labor, and assign its units as square feet. In this case, we're going to be taking the area we measure and multiplying it times the cost and not changing it at all. So I just need a generic area formula. So I'm going to search my list. Turns out I do already have generic area formulas. So I'm going to click to add one of those to this particular cost item, round it up so I do not get partial hour results, and then click Save and apply to cost item. Next, I'm going to click the Save Changes in the bottom right of the assembly window. Since we have altered the assembly, I'm going to come back to our Takeoff window, right click on the measurement again, send it to an assembly. This time we're going to select the last item on the list because that is the newest one, and let's put it in the new page of Project Estimate 2. Here we're going to add, again we're going to change and round up to the next even number. The height of our wire is still 4 feet. The number of 2x2 objects is still 10. Insert values. Now we'll pop over to the estimate, Project Estimate page 2 this time. Expand open the assembly results, and we see at the bottom we have a new cost item that charges for the labor by the square foot at $3 per square foot, so we have $570 added in for the labor. These prices are examples only and are not intended to be reflective of the current market values. If you have any incidentals you would like to charge for, perhaps you're having to rent stilts or even a lift for a particular job, you can always add blank cost items here at your estimate level as well. For instance, if we wanted to rent a lift, we can do so, and the item type here will be equipment. If we're renting it by the hour for 8 hours, then I'm going to put 8 in the quantity box. Unit of measure will be hours. And this particular list costs $100 per hour. When I click save, the math will be reconciled, and we now have an item that accommodates for the rental equipment that we need to charge to the project. Now that we've accommodated for all the items we want to bill for, we can also increase their totals by adding an overhead and profit or by adjusting their rates. If you choose to adjust their rates, you can target specific item types, and you can even target specific pages of the estimate. For example, let's say that I want to increase my labor rate on Project Estimate 2 page alone by a discrete value or a rate of $1 per square foot. When I take that $1 and apply it, next we'll take a look at our estimate, and any items, including the items inside of our assemblies, will receive that $1 increase in the adjusted rate. The other method to accommodate for overhead and profit is to use the gear. If you choose the gear in the upper right hand corner in the overhead and profit box, this will add a percentage increase to every item across the entire project. So here let's add our 15% profit in. Click apply. Next, you'll see every overhead and profit box of every cost item, whether in an assembly or added separately, will have that 15% increase due to the overhead and profit that we just added. In this particular example, Project Estimate 1 has a few cost items that we added as an example of one way to charge if we itemized according to our material results, but in this instance I would like to use page 2 to actually be my official estimate. So I'm going to unclick the Include in Project Totals toggle switch. And now you'll notice the subtotals region at the top dropped. That's because the 1850.83 from this Project Estimate 1 totals was removed from our project totals at the top. Now we're only accommodating for the totals or the dollar amounts being contributed from this one page, Project Estimate 2. If you'd like to export this information, you can use the Export button in the upper left corner of your estimate window. You can choose what pages you would like to include in your export. In this case, I'm only using Project Estimate 2, so I'm going to include Project Estimate 2 and click Export. Next, I'll have to verify the download, and then my browser makes me click one additional time to open it. The first page that opens is a summary with all of the summary details for this particular project, including the totals. Next, we have a tab at the bottom for every page that we included. In this case, we only included Project Estimate 2. So this is a direct output of the items that were in Project Estimate 2. The last page in your export is a bill of materials. Every cost item in the project on Project Estimate 2 page is listed here. So now that you understand how to collect your takeoff measurements, use those measurements to create your estimate, we hope you'll move forward, perform takeoffs, and create your own estimates. If at any point in the process you require assistance, your account manager will be happy to help you however they can, or if you'd like additional one-on-one training, they can assist you with scheduling that as well.